Now to developing news where we're following tonight. 3 former Memphis officers have been acquitted in the deadly beating of Tyree Nichols. In 2023, 19-year-old Tyree Nichols ran away from officers during a traffic stop. When officers caught up to him, he was pulled from his vehicle, pepper sprayed, tased, and later caught by 5 officers who then beat him severely. He died 3 days later. State charges are still pending against 2 other officers. The 3 officers who were acquitted today, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justice Smith, may still spend time in prison. They were convicted on some federal charges last year.
I personally think any fair-minded person who watches the video would come to the conclusion that everybody there had some responsibility for Tyree Nichols' death. But as I said, the jury took a different view.
Greetings from the east to north to south, and this wicked as west. The topic, America's injustice system. The questions, why do you think these devils was found not guilty? Let's get into it. I am your host. I am the one.
Okay. The verdict came in for the Tyree Nichols case, and the 3 black officers was found not guilty. Now, here we go again. We just come off the Rodney Hilton case, and the reason why Mr. Rodney Hilton did what he did, because he realized that we have no justice in America. It's called America's injustice system. You're not going to get no justice. You can forget it. Now, the 3 black officers caught on tape beating a man to death, and we all seen it. Everybody stood by. Nobody stepped in and said, you know what, we better stop this. This is wrong. 3 black officers. Now, they were found guilty in a federal case. But the state case, they were found not guilty. Why? Number one, they had to go to another city. I think it's a city or another county. So they moved the trial apparently to get a fair trial. Now they have had all 12 white jurors, and they came back with not guilty on every single count. These jurors were found in the case not guilty on every single count. But in a federal courtroom, they were found guilty on some counts, at least the major ones. Correct me if I'm wrong. So what is the difference, and what did they see so different? Number one, when you find 12 white people in a jury, and it's a black case where a black man had his life taken by 3, it was more than 3 officers on the scene, but the 3 black officers, maybe 4 that they charged. And you got 12 white people on the jury, right? 100% white. They backed the police. Now, if you can imagine, if this whole case was reversed, you would have had a different outcome. Now, let's take, for instance, that the victim was white. And then you have 3, 4, 5 black cops caught on video taking the life of a good Christian white man. That same jury would have found them guilty. There is no justice in America, none. So therefore, Rodney Hilton, there will be more and more of him being birthed. The reason why is because you can find no justice in this American justice system. You can forget it. You know, especially when it comes down to race, you can simply forget it. you will not find justice in America, especially when it comes down to race. Let me go to the next clip. They can explain this case more. Number one, I don't understand the difference between a federal case and a state case. So let's go to the next clip. They'll break it down. I'll be back.
We saw what happened. We saw this handcuffed man being pummeled with haymakers. We saw what we saw. The video showed it. He was handcuffed, and they took turns hitting him upside his head. We saw the video. And again, I'm a criminal defense attorney. I am often on the side of the criminal defendant. And I do respect the law that they have been found not guilty. But that not guilty verdict is a miscarriage of justice. It sends the message that you can beat a black man to death. Cops can beat black men to death on camera merely because they ran away. This verdict comes at a pivotal moment for police reform efforts. That's so very true. Just given the fact that Trump is in the White House, given the fact that MAGA is in control of the government. And like I said, he just released this executive order that will militarize and unleash cops into our community. And some of you said, that's okay, we need it. Trust me, you don't want this. You don't want that in your community. The 3 officers were already found guilty of several federal charges, including excessive force resulting in injury, but were acquitted last year of the most serious ones, including civil rights violations resulting in death. They have not been sentenced on those charges yet.
You know, I remember when this case took place. I remember when it happened. How much of a coward must you be to beat a man to death in handcuffs? I mean, how pathetic can you be? How tough can you really be? I know what the Bible say. I won't say an eye for an eye. But what I will say is you're going to reap what you sow. Rodney Hinton come to mind. You're going to reap what you sow. All you cowards, you think you're really getting away with something. Eventually, you will see. Because really, enough is enough. I'm going to go to another clip because I don't understand the difference between federal and state charges. Now, apparently, they was found guilty on federal charges. And I want to get more information on federal charges because I don't understand the legal system. So let me go to another clip. I'll be back.
Folks, third decision out of Memphis, where an all-white jury, not from Memphis, but from a neighboring county, Hamilton County, cleared 3 of the former Memphis cops in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. This was completely stunning to so many different people. This was the state trial. Now remember, they had already been convicted in federal trial, but sentencing was delayed until the outcome of this state trial. And because of all the attention, they chose this jury from Hamilton County, deliberated 8.5 hours. Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, Justice Smith Jr. were all charged with and cleared of second-degree murder, aggravated assault, aggravated kidnapping, official misconduct, and official oppression. This is what was the verdict when it was read in the courtroom.
Demetrius Haley, not guilty.
Of course, the world was stunned when Tyre Nichols, when this video was released, showing him being viciously beaten to death by these cops. Joining us right now is Ben Crump, the attorney for the family. Ben, this family has to be devastated. How in the hell does this all-white jury come to this decision?
Well, first of all, you start with rolling the fact that it's an all-white jury when the city of Memphis is majority black. The fact that you had different rules where police seem to be the only people who they say we can't get a fair trial in the city where the alleged crime was committed, and they then get to go out and get a more conservative base to select from. It reminds you of the Rodney King
Yep.
Simi Valley jury
Yep.
situation.
You know, I remember the days of Rodney King, and I remember they had the trial in either Orange County or Simi Valley, something like that, and we knew the outcome before it even happened. Now, here's the thing: America's injustice system. Again, America's injustice system. Here it is. They make the laws. They choose the cops. They pick the judge. They control the sentencings. They control the prisons. They control your release date. And then they call it America's justice system. Are you joking me? Is this a doggone joke? Is this a joke? In other words, you control the whole process. You handpick everybody. You handpick the judges, the prosecutors. You handpick them. And then we go into this system expecting justice. Are you crazy? And then what they will do, they'll get the black man to do their dirty work, like they want to attack Burkina Faso and Captain Abraham Traore. They'll put a black face on it. Now, these same black people, these cops, that they choose to do dirty work, let the tables turn. And then they'll find out who they really are. Black men in this country have found out the hard way who they are. When you sell your own people out to do the bidding of Mr. Charlie, it never goes good for you when they turn on you. Let me go to my final clip. I'll be back.
That we've been making is that, again, with this idiot in the White House, you cannot look to the federal government for any recourse. And Lord knows what the hell the Trump or the U.S. attorney, what sentencing they're going to ask for these cops, because he's been willing to let cops off for heinous activity.
Correct. I mean, he lets cops off for heinous activities. He's also let heinous white Americans who stormed the Capitol off for heinous activities against cops. There's no rhyme or reason except lawlessness is the order of the day here. And there seems to be a belief that Black lives matter just a little bit less than everyone else. This is what we meant. And what happened with George Floyd was an awakening where people understood, it felt like they understood why we cried out and said Black Lives Matter. But this retrenchment from that is a sign that we're going back to the time, or at least people are now willing to admit what they really believe, which is that when it comes to cops, our lives don't matter. And it really doesn't matter the race of the cop. What is so hurtful here is that, you know, we had one verdict. We don't know what's going, we had a sentencing. We don't know verdict. We don't know what the sentencing is going to be in the federal case. We have it here. There will be postmortems. I'm very interested to see what the jury, how the jury could have come to this decision legally. What I pray for is peace in that community, because this is the kind of thing that would make you take to the streets. None of us are safe in this case. And it is a sign that I know you're talking, but there's a sign that when you have a jury that is all white, they simply do not understand the things that Black people undergo, which we all do regardless of socioeconomic status.
Yeah, but
you know, I often wonder about this verdict, and I wonder, is it pretty much a setup plan? Because I made a video a long time ago. It was Donald Trump, the most honest president in 60 years. I since took the video down, but I believe there's some truth in what I was saying because what he say, he does. The guy is a devil. It is what it is. But what he say, he does. Is this a setup for perhaps martial law? Because this verdict may bring black people to the streets. And then he'll have a perfectly legitimate excuse to impose martial law. And then he can do the things that he truly want to do in the first place, and it'll seem legitimate. Because I think, what was it, Maya Angelou? She said, if a person show you who they are, believe them, or something like that. I forgot the quote. And he truly set the stage on the things he wanted to do. Not only that, he speaks it. You don't hold back. You know, a lot of times people, well, politicians pretty much want to be politically correct. They want to make sure they say things, but they want to say it in a vague and maybe ambiguous type of way. You know, they mean what they say. It's almost when a person tell a joke, they really mean it. But then, you know, they like to laugh it off. Ha ha. No. They're serious. But like I said, Donald Trump, he marched straight down the field. What he says, he truly means. And I don't know, is this a setup for martial law if black people decide to take to the streets? Because you can't tell me they can't rig a verdict. They go behind the scenes, and then they make things happen behind the scenes to get the outcome or to achieve the outcome they really want. There was a movie years ago called, I think, Runaway Jury. It started Gene Hackman. I remember the movie. But they knew the details of the people that was on the jury. They knew their habits. So the 12 is only 12 people. Think about it. So they know their habits so they can sway them the way they want the verdict to go. Everybody have a vice. If you got problems in your life, they'll say, hey, you know what? You did X, Y, Z. You're going to have to go with me on this one. You know, I want to make sure you get a not guilty verdict. And when you're being blackmailed, you have to do what they say do. But I guess time will tell. Thank you for watching. I am your host. I am